The silicon chip inside her head gets switched to overload and nobody's gonna go to school today. She's gonna make them stay at home and daddy doesn't understand it. He always said she was good as gold and he can see no reasons because there are no reasons. What reason do you need to be shown? So goes the memorable opening to I Don't Like Mondays by Irish new wave band The Boomtown Rats. Written by vocalist Bob Geldof and keyboardist Johnny Fingers, the song was released on July 13th, 1979 as the lead single of the band's third album, The Fine Art of Surfacing, and quickly shot to number 1 on the UK singles chart, remaining there for 4 weeks. It has since become a new wave classic, receiving regular airplay on pop radio stations to this day. But the song's light piano-driven melody and deceptively whimsical lyrics belie its incredibly dark origins. Far from being a relatable anthem about the start to the work week, I Don't Like Mondays was directly inspired by one of the first modern school shootings in US history, and one of the few to be committed by a woman. This is the tragic and disturbing story of Brenda Spencer and the Cleveland Elementary School shooting. This video is brought to you by Squarespace, the all-in-one platform for creating a beautiful and functional online presence. Whether you're an entrepreneur, a creative, or just looking to share your ideas, Squarespace makes it easy to stand out online. With Squarespace, you can unlock your creative potential using Design Intelligence, their cutting-edge AI technology that helps you build a personalized website that is uniquely yours. Want to sell your products or services? Well, with Squarespace Payments, you can manage payments easily and offer popular methods like Apple Pay and Klarna, plus tools like email campaigns let you connect with your audience easily, driving traffic and boosting sales. I've been exploring their platform. I've done my own website with Squarespace. I can confidently say, whatever you're using for, showcasing your work, running a business, launching a passion project, whatever, Squarespace will make it happen for you. They will make it happen easily, and the result will be beautiful. So when you're ready to get started, head to squarespace.com for a free trial. When you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/brainfood to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or a domain using the code BRAINFOOD. And now back to today's episode. Brenda Ann Spencer was born in San Diego, California on April 3rd, 1962, the youngest of 3 children born to Dorothy Hobel and Wallace Spencer. Brenda had a tumultuous upbringing. In January 1972, Dorothy Spencer filed for divorce and left on grounds of infidelity, leaving Brenda to be raised by her father. The two lived in a house in the San Carlos neighborhood of San Diego, directly across from Grover Cleveland Elementary School. Brenda would later describe a scene of complete neglect and squalor, with her and her father sharing a single mattress on a living room floor strewn with liquor bottles. She also later accused her father of physically and sexually abusing her, though these claims have been widely disputed for reasons that we will get to in just a bit. Whatever the case, from an early age, Spencer began exhibiting erratic and sometimes disturbing behavior. Though skilled in photography, winning first prize in an American Humane Society competition, she was otherwise uninterested in school, often falling asleep in class or skipping school entirely. Her truancy eventually landed her in a special facility for problem students, where her behavior continued to worsen. In 1978, she was arrested for shooting out the windows of Grover Cleveland Elementary with a BB gun. By this time, Spencer had also developed a pathological hatred of police officers, frequently fantasizing about blowing away pigs and loudly cheering whenever news of police officers being killed appeared on the television. According to SDPD SWAT officer Mike Hendrickson, who responded to the later shooting spree, quote, "She fantasized in the past about being a sniper. She knew a lot about her operation from watching SWAT on TV." These fantasies and threats grew increasingly graphic and specific, with Spencer telling her friends she wanted to do something big to get on TV, and that one of these mornings you're going to look for me. No one understands me. You don't have to wait very long to see what is going on with me. In response, many classmates reported being afraid of Spencer, who they described as crazy and pretty crummy looking. In December 1978, the psychiatrist recommended that Brenda be admitted to a psychiatric hospital for depression, but her father refused to give permission. Instead, for Christmas, Wallace Spencer gifted his daughter a Ruger 10-22 caliber rimfire rifle complete with a telescopic sight and 500 rounds of ammunition. As Brenda later claimed, "I asked for a radio and got a rifle. He bought the rifle so I would kill myself." But instead of turning the rifle on herself, Brenda Spencer decided to live out her fantasy of being a sniper, selecting a target lying conveniently across from her home, Grover Cleveland Elementary School. On the morning of Monday, January 29th, 1979, a group of children was lined up outside the school, awaiting for 53-year-old Principal Burton Ragg to unlock the front gate when Brenda Spencer opened fire from across the street. According to Brenda, she first targeted 9-year-old Charles Cam Miller because he was wearing her favorite color, blue. As Rag and teacher Daryl Barnes rushed to shield the children from the hail of bullets, Rag was hit and mortally wounded. 56-year-old custodian Mike Suchar tried to pull Rag to safety, but was also shot and killed. Spencer fired 36 shots in 15 minutes, wounding a further 7 children aged 8 to 9, as well as 28-year-old police officer Robert Robb, who was shot through the neck while responding to a call for assistance. Others soon arrived on the scene, including officers Sharon Newberry and Theodore Kasanak, who, thinking quickly, ordered a nearby garbage truck to be backed into Spencer's line of fire. Her shooting spree over, Spencer barricaded herself in the house as police, SWAT, and emergency negotiation teams maneuvered into position. At the same time, a reporter with the Evening Tribune, who had been calling random numbers in the neighborhood, managed to get Spencer on the phone. When asked why she had shot up the school, Spencer gave a chilling and iconic response. "I just did it for the fun of it. I don't like Mondays. This livens up the day." She further stated that, "I had no reason for it, and it was just a lot of fun. It was just like shooting ducks in a pond. They looked like a herd of cows standing around. It was really easy pickings." Before she finally signed off with, "I have to go now. I shot a pig, I think, and I want to shoot more. I'm having too much fun." The standoff lasted 7 hours, but while Spencer threatened to come out shooting if the police came any closer, in the end she surrendered peacefully, reportedly after police negotiators promised her a meal from Burger King. In pictures of her arrest, Brenda Spencer cuts a striking figure. Aged 16 at the time of the shooting, she stood 5'2", with bright red chest-length hair, a face covered in freckles, and oversized wireframe glasses. She was taken to the San Diego City Jail, where she was charged with 11 counts of murder and assault with a deadly weapon. While in custody, Spencer was examined by doctors who discovered damage to one of the temporal lobes of her brain. This injury, which Spencer attributed to a bicycle crash many years before, caused her to suffer from temporal lobe epilepsy, which in certain conditions can lead to severe behavioral disturbances. Due to the seriousness of her crime, the courts decided to try Spencer as an adult. She ultimately pleaded guilty to 2 counts of murder and assault with a deadly weapon, and on April 4th, 1980, one day after her 18th birthday, she was sentenced to 25 years in prison. As part of her plea deal, 9 counts of attempted murder were dismissed. Miraculously, all 8 children wounded in the shooting spree survived and made full recoveries, though some came very close to death. For instance, the bullet that struck Spencer's first target, the 9-year-old Cam Miller, missed his heart by barely an inch. Meanwhile, news of the shooting reached singer Bob Geldof while the Boomtown Rats were performing their US tour. As Geldof later recalled, "I was doing a radio interview in Atlanta with Johnny Fingers and there was a telex machine beside me. I read it as it came out. Not liking Mondays as a reason for doing somebody in is a bit strange. I was thinking about it on the way back to the hotel, and I just said silicon chip inside her head had switched to overload. I wrote that down. And the journalists interviewing her said, 'Tell me why.' It was such a senseless act. It was the perfect senseless act, and this was the perfect senseless reason for doing it. So perhaps I wrote the perfect senseless song to illustrate it. It wasn't an attempt to exploit tragedy." Due to the experimental composition and macabre subject matter, Geldof initially intended the song to be a B-side. However, the band's label, Ensign, insisted on releasing it as an A-side, prompting Geldof to protest, "You're mad, that's not a hit." But after the song performed well with audiences during the band's US tour, Geldof relented, and I Don't Like Mondays was released to great commercial and critical success, winning Single of the Year at the 1979 British Pop and Rock Awards. Brenda Spencer's family tried to prevent the song from being released in the US, but were unsuccessful, the song ultimately reaching number 73 on the Billboard Top 100. Decades later, Geldof expressed regret at writing the song, as it, quote, "made Brenda Spencer famous." And while Johnny Fingers claimed to have co-written the song with Geldof, Geldof received sole credit, resulting in a decades-long dispute. The matter was finally settled in 2019, with Fingers receiving co-writing credit and a financial settlement in lieu of royalties. Back in California, SDPD officers Sharon Newberry, Theodore Kasanak, and Robert Robb were awarded the Medal for Valor for their heroic actions during the shooting, while a memorial plaque and flagpole were erected at Grover Cleveland Elementary School to commemorate shooting victims Burton Ragg and Mike Suchar. However, due to declining attendance, the school was closed in 1983 and leased out to a series of charter and private schools. In 2018, the building was finally demolished to make way for a housing development, the memorial plaque being relocated to the southern edge of the property. Another memorial to Ragg and Suchar was also erected at the San Diego Combined School District's Eugene Brucker Education Center. Meanwhile, Brenda Spencer began serving her sentence at the California Institute for Women in Chino, where she worked for a time repairing electronic equipment. She also began receiving medication to treat her epilepsy and depression, for which she later expressed gratitude. To quote her, "I don't get depressed like I did. I'm not scared all the time." Under the terms of her sentencing, Spencer became eligible for parole in 1993. During her parole hearings, Spencer claimed to have been under the influence of alcohol and PCP at the time of the shooting. However, drug tests conducted when she was first taken into custody had turned up negative. The board decided to deny Spencer's parole. Spencer next became eligible in 2001. During these hearings, for the first time, Spencer accused her father of physical and sexual abuse. Wallace Spencer never spoke publicly about the case or his relationship with his daughter, living in obscurity until his death in 2016. But given that Brenda had never previously mentioned these allegations, parole board chairman Brett Granlund questioned the truthfulness of her statements. In response, Spencer claimed that she tried to report her abuse to the authorities, but had been ignored, stating, "I'm just going to tell you, you are either involved in a situation with counselors and psychiatrists who are covering up, or you are making this up." However, former prosecutor Charles Patrick and Spencer's own attorney Michael McGlynn have vehemently denied that any evidence was hidden. It was also during the 2001 hearings that Spencer first expressed remorse for her actions, stating, "I know I'm saying sorry doesn't make it all right. With every school shooting, I feel I'm partially responsible. What if they got their idea from what I did?" Once again, however, Spencer was denied parole, with San Diego County District Deputy Attorney Richard Sachs arguing that her behavior in prison demonstrated an inability to deal with stress and an inclination to act out in anger, making her unfit for release. For example, following a breakup with another woman in prison, Spencer heated up a paperclip and used it to brand the words courage and pride into her chest. Two further appeals for parole in 2009 and 2022 were also denied. As of this recording, Spencer, now 61, remains incarcerated at the California Institution for Women, her next parole hearing scheduled for 2025. Outside the prison walls, the 9 living victims of Brenda Spencer's shooting spree continue to live with the scars, both physical and psychological, of that terrifying day. Among them is Cam Miller, who was called to testify at Spencer's parole hearing in 2001. Miller, who has suffered from nightmares and anxiety for decades, said of the experience, "I had to go up and face this cruel monster. The look Brenda Spencer gave me was enough to scare anyone to death." Brenda Spencer's 1979 shooting spree was not the first mass shooting or school massacre in US history. Depending on what criteria you use, that dubious honor belongs to either the 1927 Bath school disaster, in which electrician and school board treasurer Andrew Kehoe bombed the Bath Consolidated School in Michigan, killing 38 children and 6 adults and wounding 58, or the 1949 Walk of Death, in which former soldier and sheet metal worker Howard Unruh opened fire on his Camden, New Jersey neighborhood, killing 13. And to learn more about the former incident, please do check out the video Forgotten History, America's Worst School Massacre, over on our sister channel, Highlight History. It was, however, one of the first in the modern mold, which has become disturbingly familiar, and among the very few to be carried out by a female perpetrator. Indeed, according to the Washington Post, only 9 female students have committed a school shooting since 1999. And shortly before this recording, another case was added to the list. On December the 16th, 2024, 15-year-old Natalie Rupnow opened fire at Abundant Life Christian School in Madison, Wisconsin, killing 3, including herself, and wounding 6.